Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Her Playbook podcast with Devon Newberry and Jaden Whitmarsh. As you can see, we are not currently in our studio and we have taken to Zoom for this episode. This week, we have an incredible guest who happens to be leaving for Paris tonight.
With the Olympics being just a week away, we couldn't think of a better person to have on than the one, the only Kerri Walsh Jennings. This episode was truly amazing, so stay tuned and enjoy.
You are an American beach volleyball legend, a three-time Olympic gold medalist alongside Misty May Trainer, dominating the sport with an unprecedented win streak of 112 matches, solidifying your legacy as the greatest team in beach volleyball history. You also continued your career and took a bronze medal with April Ross to secure your legacy as the greatest player of all time in beach volleyball.
You are not only an inspiration to Devin and I, but to so many people around the world. Thank you so much for being here, and Kerri, welcome to Her Playbook.
Oh, thanks, ladies. I'm so happy to be here. I'm blushing a little bit.
So let's start with where did you grow up and when did you start playing volleyball?
Okay, so I grew up in Northern California in the Santa Cruz Mountains. Born in San Jose, my early childhood was in Scotts Valley, which is a town right outside of Santa Cruz. Super hippie, like in the redwoods. I was dirty all the time, never allowed in the house. It was amazing. And then we moved over the hill to the South Bay area in NorCal, in Saratoga. And that's where I spent my high school years. I started playing volleyball when I was 10 years old, fifth grade at St. Mary's in Los Gatos. And I fell in love the very first moment. And, now recently I was telling you before we hopped on, I moved back home. So we lived in Manhattan Beach for 20 years and then moved to Lake Tahoe, kind of COVID pushed us that way. And now I'm back home. And my daughter and my son Sundance are about to go to St. Mary's in Los Gatos, where I fell in love with the game. And our oldest Joey is going to be a freshman at Mini next year. So it's like full circle. And that question you just asked brought me all of that.
Yeah, oh my gosh, time flies. So
Yeah.
when you were 10 years old, and you fell in love with the game, did you think you were going to go to the Olympics? Was that like your dream when you were young, or was that just out of the?
No, no. I mean, I don't know if I'm just unique in this, but I'm just kind of an in the moment person and my life just keeps unfolding. I never really had these big, bold, audacious dreams for myself in sport. I just wanted to keep playing. And to keep playing, you have to keep leveling up. Um, unless you're just going to be a rec player for your whole life, which is so fun, as long as you're playing something. But no, my first big dream come true was to get a scholarship to Stanford University. And I think that was like my only stated big goal and dream that I worked toward. Like in high school, I went to Midi in San Jose. They were a great program. We won a lot. I got a lot of looks, and I was fortunate enough to eke into Stanford somehow. But anyhow, my long story short, like my dreams were just to be really good at whatever I was doing. I played all the sports growing up, which I really value. It made me really rangy and disciplined and kind of curious about my potential within, I think because I played so many sports. But volleyball was truly my first love. And I just wanted to keep going, keep going.
I love that. I think especially with Jaden and I, we always talk about how we are like we try and be so present where we are that I think it's so amazing that a lot of athletes have stories where they like since they were 5 years old they wanted to go to the Olympics. So it's so refreshing to hear someone say like I didn't always think that far ahead and I didn't always have that dream. I was so like living in the moment, which is so special.
Yeah.
But obviously in high school you were an absolute stud and also throughout college in indoor volleyball. And then you transitioned to the beach side, which is definitely less common just because of the opportunities on the indoor side versus beach. What made you want to join the beach world, and how did it feel making that switch from indoor to beach?
Devin, when I made the switch, it was like the world's biggest shock because I still do. I loved indoor at that point so much. I could not imagine doing anything different. I had played for 12 years at the time. I was 22 when I switched to beach volleyball. And a couple things kind of played into that. I had my first Olympic experience in 2000 indoor. We finished fourth. I was on an incredible team, like dear friends. We fought for a medal, but lost. It was at the Sydney Games where my heart was just broken because of the system that I was in. And I just started to realize that I'm very dispensable. I am not, the master of my own destiny here. I have to do what they tell me when they tell me all these things. I love the sport. However, I want more autonomy. And the great thing about indoor, you have as you guys know, like you have the energy and the fire and it's so beautiful. And I love being part of a team. Like I just love it with all my heart. But you're one of the herd, which is a trade-off, and there's just all these trade-offs in life. And also when you're a pro, you get guaranteed money indoor compared to beach, which you guys are living right now. Like you're paycheck to paycheck, you base everything on your winnings. If you're, lucky enough to get sponsors, that, pays your bills. So anyhow, I switched because I wanted to be autonomous in my life and I wanted more freedom. And I did not want to go play overseas for 8, 9 months and make a living. Like my heart is here. My family is here. And so when I got the kind of opportunity to try it with Misty, everything in me was like, you're an idiot. You're going to look like an idiot. Don't do it. But then there was but it could be amazing. But it's Misty. But you'll still be playing the game you love and you'll still be traveling, but you'll come home and so I think it was just divine timing. And again, my life unfolding in this way where I could have never predicted it, and so I think that's the beauty of living in faith. And that transition was really, really hard on my ego. It was like, I cried a lot. It was so humbling. But it was worth it, so I think I was at a transition point in my life. I just graduated Stanford. It's a whole new world. I'm at the zero set point, and everything was possible. And I chose to take a leap of faith because I had this opportunity to play with Miss, which was just everything.
Yeah. So in the beginning of your beach career, when did you realize you were at the level to make an Olympic run?
Well, Miss Jaden, Misty and I, first of all, on the very first day that we tried out, where I literally almost had a heart attack, just panic attack, central, it was nuts. We had magic. Like there was a flow and it was like two athletes just playing ball and it was so fun. Stress being stress, but it was so fun. And we just built on that for a long time. And we hit the road almost immediately. We started training, I think in February. Our first tournament was actually the same day that I turned in my last paper at Stanford. So I think it was like June and we were in Italy playing against the world's best. And I think we finished ninth, and then we played that season and we lost a lot. But we won one tournament and the teams we lost to were the best in the world. The best teams from the USA and Brazil. And so I think there is an inkling of we can do this. I think the fact that when we did play, even our first year when I was so green and Misty was still so young, but she came out of the womb and she's worked so hard to be so amazing. When you're so pissed off after every loss, I think it's telling you, you have it inside of you. And I was pissed off and devastated after every loss. And they were all my fault. Like, because like Misty was just so solid and I was so up and down all over the place. So, it was right away, we knew there was magic. And then she gave me the grace and the space and the faith to like grow into myself. And then I think that was maybe almost easier because she saw potential than myself giving myself the grace and space and time to grow into it because it was hard.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. And you kind of touched on it already, but when you are feeling like that doubt from yourself, like what kind of words are you telling yourself to make it up that next practice and to like just keep showing up?
Devin, I mean, at the time it was like, you're an idiot, you suck. Like the worst words. And I've done a lot of therapy, a lot of work with Mike Gervais, our performance psychologist, who's so incredible. And, for the first 2/3 of my life, failure and fear of failure and being super critical inside, it served me. It was like my method. Like hate yourself enough to go work hard enough to not mess up. It's such a flawed way to go about things, but it made me excellent until it didn't. And then at some point it started to minimize myself. So I think ultimately, Devin, like I love training. I love like improving and just kind of walking the process. And even though I'm impatient and want to be excellent now, like I really do love the work. And the fact that I think I love the work, I was curious about my potential and I was supported from Misty, from, my surrounding environment. I think all of those little elements allowed me to kind of push through the discomfort. And I did have like a come to Jesus moment. I can't remember how many months after, Misty and I were competing, but I called my mom and I remember sitting on the beach at Rosecrans, like bawling and being like, Mom, I don't know if I can do this. Like we're losing and when we lose, it's my fault. And I feel like I'm frustrating Misty, blah, blah. And she goes, all right, babe. She goes, well, do like, did you give it your best? And I said, yeah, I really have, Mom. She goes, okay, well, do you love it? It's like, I do love it, but it's just, I'm shitty. And she goes, all right, babe. Well, as long as you did your best, why don't you just come home and we'll get you a 9 to 5 and, we'll be good. And I was like, nope. like, like pulling your big girl pants, that's not happening. And it was just such a good like reality check of like, stop being a sissy. Like, reality is waiting for you, and there's no harm, nothing, no shameful thing about taking a traditional job. I'm built to be an athlete. I wanted to pursue this. My mom asked, giving me that advice really just snapped me into the moment.
Right. Wow. Well, being a professional beach volleyball player, to the outsiders, it just looks like there's two people on the court, but we know that it takes an absolute village to be successful and to make it to the highest level. So, who were some coaches or mentors that helped you prepare for the Olympic Games?
Jaden, I've just been so blessed to have the best people. Like even in my like my mom was my first coach in volleyball, right? She's a badass. Like she's gnarly. And my dad was my coach, and he's such a great athlete. And then in high school, I had the people who focused on fundamentals and who like held me to strict accountability. Same thing at Stanford with Don Shaw and Denise Corlett, who expected to win and expected me to be excellent. And when I transitioned to beach, I had Misty around me. I had Barb and Butch May around me, who are just, they're wonderful and tough, loving humans who expected great things right away, which I thrive under. Um, every coach for every Olympics was amazing. Dane Selznick was the perfect starter kit. And probably we could have stayed with Dane forever. But Dane was perfect. He's so playful. He's so focused on dancing with the ball, literally, like his dad, Gene. Like Dane is magic, and he was so great for Misty and I in that first quad. But then we moved to Troy Tanner, who is literally like a sensei, who is just all about being in the moment and, kind of being your own guru and breathe, believe, battle is where I got that mantra, which serves me so well. Then we had Marcio Sicoli, who I'm not sure if you've played against his teams or trained with them, probably at Pepperdine. But on the pro stage, he's just incredible, and he's younger than me, which always pissed me off. But he challenged Missy and I, and he was like, you guys, if you leave practice any day over the next however many years and I don't make you uncomfortable that day, he's like, I failed. So know that about me. And so he set that tone of where I'm going to poke you and provoke you into greatness. And then after that, I just had amazing people, and there's a really long list. And if I started, Jaden, I wouldn't be able to finish. Your dad's in there. Like your dad and my husband, like those two men together were so magical, and watching your dad compete. And I remember one time I was like, Whitty, I really love split blocking. I really love split blocking. And Misty and I are doing this thing where, we split block until like the last 5 points. And he goes, stop being a dumbass. He's like, get your ass up there. It's like, Kerri, you're not a defender. And I was so hurt. I was like, but Woody, I can do it. And he's like, I'm not saying that. He's like, but don't be an idiot.
Oh my God.
And it was just so, our world is so special, the beach volleyball world. And if you have the courage to go talk to the legends or talk to people, I'm going to cry, talk to people who have lived it. Like there's so much to learn from these people, like Holly and the athletes that I came up in the sport with, just watching them and competing against them and training with them. I didn't even need to go ask questions. I just witnessed and I observed. And it made me really hungry, really inspired, and it fueled the journey. So the list is long, and it's like ever growing, which is amazing.
Oh,
Yeah.
So cool to hear you say that as well, because I think a lot of younger people, even like Jaden and I, like it sounds terrifying to go up to people that you are like so deeply inspired by and that you're competing against on the tour, but you just like idolize. And so
Oh.
coming from like you, it is just like so like refreshing hearing that, and it takes away a sense of fear, which is so special. And so how would you describe like the journey to the Olympics for beach volleyball is like pretty crazy, and like some sports, but unlike a lot of sports, you have to travel all over the world. How were you able to separate like sports being like in one part of your life, but then also like your family, your friendships, and like being present in other places?
Oh man. Well, I'm kind of the mind where if I'm doing something, like there's no separation. It's all
Yeah.
integrated, and I mean that's the reality of how things are executed because my work, kind of translates into my life and my relationships. there's trade-offs along the way. I've done it messily. um, just to be very candid, it was when it was just my husband, Casey, and I were just dating, and it was just him and I traveling the world and being in love and trying to be the best. It was so simple and it was so fun and carefree. And I hope everyone at that stage of their life really appreciates it, because there's something just really special about having such a pure goal and dream, and then combining it with the love of your life and your relationships at home. Um, I certainly lived one Olympic quad to Beijing, where I was like Misty and I had won gold in Athens, and we were going for a repeat, hadn't been done before. And I literally lived every single day for 4 years, not even giving a shit about that day, but caring only about if we won in August of 2008. And it was so powerful to have such a strong North Star. But I literally did not, it's not that I didn't enjoy the journey, but I wasn't mindful. Like I literally lost connection with every single human in my life that wasn't in my volleyball sphere. And my husband at the time, he felt so taken for granted, and so after Beijing, and my husband and I survived, and, we were going to get divorced, and we worked really hard on our own stuff. We came back together after that experience. I was like, I don't believe in regression, first of all. Second of all, I can do both. I can have this beautiful passion and North Star and merge them and just do it hand in hand with my people. And it's been such a fun journey it's my priority. It's simple as that. And if something's my priority, it means that I love and I believe in it. I'm willing to suffer for it. And if I find myself making excuses that I don't have the energy to, at home and to have great relationships or interaction, then I don't want to ever argue for my own limitations. Like I want to live my priorities like they're truly something so meaningful to me. And so that's like my life's mission now, even though I retired last year officially. Like I'm so busy, and the work-life balance it's like this, like I work a lot. However, the depth of my connection with my family and my people now, because I'm more mindful, because I lived hell on earth of my own making, the depth of connection is so beautiful, and it's so consistent. And that allows for me to go and chase my dreams and pursue stuff, because when I'm home, I'm present, like we talked about earlier. And I think being in the present moment is the antidote to almost every stress in life, because I can handle my shit in the moment. If I'm living in the past, we all know that's where, stress and sadness comes from. And living in the future, you have anxiety. So I can handle life in the moment. And when I'm present with my kids, they know it. When I'm distracted, they know it. Same with my husband, So it's my priority. And there's a quote that I love. It says, we must put action behind our priorities. And I definitely live by that.
It's amazing. I think it's really inspiring how much you put family first. And I think that's super obvious to everyone that you come in contact. So that's really beautiful.
Thanks, Mama.
So Devon and I talk about handling pressure, and I talk a lot about it with my sister. And I just wanted to know, playing at such a high level and being at the highest stage at the Olympics, how did you handle pressure, and what did you do to prepare in that moment?
Something that I just I expected it. And it's kind of like how people define hard work, like, I have to work so hard right now. And I'm like, you're going to be so miserable because you just frame it that way, where it's like, hard work is fun. Like pressure it's fun. It comes with the territory. And to me, like when I share that to kids, like, oh, you're going to feel anxious, and you're going to feel all this pressure, and it's not bad. It's like your system revving up for something meaningful, and that was my experience largely when I competed. I mean, self-doubt, like the anxiety when I made the transition, all that was very real, and stuff you just have to work through. And for me, getting back to putting action and putting work in always kind of dulled the edge of my self-doubt. Talking to people about, hey, Miss, I'm really nervous right now. Hey, April, I'm nervous right now. And it just kind of sharing that stuff, it all helped, But to me, the quote, pressure is a privilege, is 100% true. And I just, at some point, I'm just like, I love this so much. I'm willing to take all of it. Like, I'm willing to fall flat in my face. I'm willing to look like an idiot in front of the world. I'm willing to love more than the other. I'm willing to go first. All these things I was willing to do. And if I was going to let pressure get in my way, I would have played for literally a month. I wouldn't even step on the sand with Misty if I were to say pressure is not allowed to be part of the equation. It's part of the equation, and now I got to love it and not hate it and I got to not hate my anxiety and my nerves, and I got to reframe that. Um, but it's not easy. It just, to me, it's a practice,
Mhm.
right? So by the end of my career, I promise you, this is so real. Like I started to smile when it was 14 all in game three, like just like, yes, and if you practice it in practice, like if you play competitive drills, you want to win in practice too, like I would just start to practice like my self-talk and my ability to come back to the moment and my sincere connection with my partner, all these little things that people think that you just do them on game day. Like I live that every single day. And so when the time came to need that in the moment, that was my default.
Mhm.
It's like I was very practiced at it. Doesn't mean I was perfect, but I was practiced at it. It doesn't mean I won all the time because of it, but it meant that I never pooped the bed. It meant that I never like retreated and shrunk, maybe for a moment. And then I was like, no, I got this, so it just comes with it. And I love knowing that. I love sharing that with my babies. You're so nervous. It's okay. It's good. You just like missed the game winning shot. It's okay. It's going to make you better, but you
Yeah.
have to allow it to, and I think the way you frame it, it's nothing in the world is the end all be all.
Yeah.
I have done the dumbest shit. I have lied and cheated. I've got caught. I have hurt other people. I've hurt myself. I've done everything dumb in private, on the world stage, and within my relationships. And times where you're like, I'm mortified, or I'm carrying so much shame, or whatever it is. And it's just, you take a deep breath and you work on forgiving yourself and correcting your errors. Um, and it's not the final statement on your life,
Mhm.
and I think how you handle pressure, you can't hate yourself into greatness. You can't hate yourself into loving pressure. It's just, you can't fight with reality. So just owning it is, I think, the first step toward being able to practice it and master it.
Yeah. I feel like the big moments and the pressure only makes that winning feeling feel so much better too. And so,
It's fun.
yeah, go ahead, Kerri.
No, it's just so fun. And I think, what you said is so important. And one of the points of contention I had with Mike Gervais, who's my performance psychologist, like I said, he's like, there are no big moments. And I was like, I beg to differ. Like, that's not true, doc. And he's like, well, if you live in the present moment, every moment is equal, right? And if you can train yourself to be there, then when you are in those big moments, like it's just, you're there to let it rip, right? You're not there to control the outcome. You're there to do your best. And so I'm like, well, we're both right.
So we have to know, out of all your medals, out of all of 3 gold, 1 bronze, is there one that stands out to you, or was there one moment that felt bigger than the others, or were they all the same?
It's just such a culmination, Jaden. It's like I could never pick one.
Uh,
Um, However, I just the one that kind of, I mean, I finished with the bronze, and then I tried to go 2 more Olympic cycles after that and didn't make it. Like there's such a journey, so it'd be a disservice to pick one. However, winning as a mother, when my boys were 2 and 3, my daughter was in my tummy in London, that was pretty remarkable. And not just because we won or because I was a mom, which are hugely meaningful things. Misty was retiring. But the way my family, Misty and I, lived that journey was as close to perfect as it gets.
wow.
We were so deeply connected. And so that journey just was everything to me. It was so incredible. Every day was meaningful. And something I just want to say, because I know you guys are, you've kicked ass for so long in the sport, college, and now you're in the pros. And I just want to share this one thing because it really did make Misty and I very, very special. And I haven't seen it very often, if at all. Is like when things got hard on the court, especially Misty and I went like that. Like it was an opportunity to come together, and we would outlast and endure together. And now with my marriage with Casey, I'm like, babe, when things are getting hard, we got to do this. When we just both want to be like, no, get out of here, But like the invitation in the dream that we're on, when you're pursuing Olympic dreams or just whatever big meaningful pursuit, is to always come home to yourself in those tough moments and know you got it. And then if you are in a team, which is a beautiful gift, like use like the pressure, the stress, the challenges, the resistance as a call to come closer together. And those who can do that will outlast, they will endure, and they will set themselves up for success, or at least give them a chance for success. which is what I hope for you guys throughout all of it.
Love that.
Yeah, that was incredible. Like,
Oh.
I'm speechless by a lot of the things you say. It just constantly
Yeah.
leaves me like that. But like you said, you are officially retired from beach volleyball. So what are some of your goals and aspirations that motivate you now?
Man, I, I want to keep kicking ass. I never want to feel like a has been. I'm like running into this next chapter knowing my physicality is so important to me. Like I need to be physical, and I'm still healing from this ankle injury that's driving me crazy. But it's coming. I'm healing. But I just want to live an empowered and inspired life, ultimately, whatever that means. And it means a million things. And it also means very simply, I want to live a deeply connected and fully expressed life in body, mind, and spirit, in my career, within my family relationships. And I want to do that because I want to embody that. And then I want to inspire the people to be inspired and live empowered. And I feel like when you actually see people with your own eyes living in that way, it gives you permission and makes you think, oh, that's possible. And so that's who I want to be for me. That's who I want to be for my babies and my man, and for the world. So I think to be specific on it would be to limit it. But, I have P1440, which is our organization that serves, youth volleyball. We have P1440 Foundation. I'm starting a podcast. I can call you guys for some notes. I have so many amazing partners. I really do want to build the F1 of beach volleyball pro tour. So you guys can play for many, many years. Like, there's so many things on my to-do list. And I feel like I've had amazing people on my team my whole life, but I feel like the team I have around me now, Devon, we share a marketing manager. It's so blue chip and so gold star. And so I think the best is ever yet to come, and I just need to lead myself in a way where I'm proud and where I feel like I can, handle the challenges coming my way.
Amazing. Well, we're going to get into our last little segment called The Things We Wish We Knew About the Olympics with Kerri Walsh Jennings.
Okay.
So let's get into it. Devon?
Okay, so what was a typical day for you in the Olympic Village when you weren't competing?
Very long days. Usually there's a lift session or a cardio session. There's physical therapy. There's a lot of reading of books. Sometimes there's like a sightseeing excursion, very, very few and far between. A quick meetup with the family. Definitely going to the cafeteria in the village 3 or 4 times, mostly to people watch, um, watching video and connecting with the partner. I mean, it's like a vacation, but you're like, I just want to play. It's just ridiculous, So it was all pretty fun.
What was your favorite Olympic Games location?
Oh my gosh. Totally impossible, Jaden. Damn it.
Sorry.
It's really, really hard. Damn it.
Sorry.
I know. I'm drawing a blank. It'd be a toss up between Athens and London. I'd say it's dead heat. They were both so amazing for so many different reasons.
What's your favorite Olympic sport to watch other than volleyball?
Never watched them. Devon, I have no idea. I'll tell you in 2 weeks. I don't know. I mean, I guess I can say, so the dream team when I was a little girl with Jordan and Bird and Mullen and all them, they're the ones who made me pay attention to the Olympics for the first time. So I have to say basketball. However, I mean, I have tickets to swimming out there. I'm so excited. I have watched water polo, which is fun, but I like them all. I do not discriminate.
If you had to compete in another sport other than indoor or beach volleyball, what would you pick?
You suck. Well, now there's breakdancing.
Yeah.
And I just had to say that because that's the most absurd thing ever. However, that could be fun. My other sport that I was somewhat decent at was basketball. So if I'm being realistic, it would have to be basketball. However, I mean, the lifestyle of being a surfer or a golfer would be, or tennis.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not very good at rapid fire questions.
Oh, you're doing great. What's one piece of advice you would give to somebody who's going for the Olympics or wants to compete in the Olympics?
It's so doable. And Gosh, damn it. Okay. So what I've learned, and I've been reinforced over the past like 6 months, because my kids are competing and then I'm interviewing pro athletes and I'm interviewing Olympic hopefuls, it's all the same. Whoever can outlast the discomfort, whoever can bring positive, I got this, optimistic energy to the moment, whoever can live in the moment, those are the people who make it. And a lot of people, I think it's supposed to be fast and easy, and they're not mentally prepared or emotionally prepared for the discomfort. It's a long ride, and the journey is the most important part. And so it's like the people who can bring consistent energy and bring themselves fully to as many moments as possible, those are the ones who do it. So I'd say practice leading yourself, practice living in the moment, and practice giving everything that you have, because you wanted that bad. No matter what, like be unconditional in your pursuit. Bad day, someone thinks you're ugly, your partner doesn't like you today, you don't like your partner, you lose 15 times, you shank 8 balls, like unconditionally be in the pursuit and don't have a plan B.
Awesome. Okay, so beach volleyball is one of the most watched sports in the Olympics. What do you think beach volleyball needs to do in order to grow in college and also professionally?
In college, I think they just need to decide to allow more teams, especially to the NCAA tournament, and I think that's a bandwidth issue. I said we're growing. Like I think in college and in juniors, obviously, it's like the trajectory is incredible. On the pro side, now, ladies, that's a whole different situation. And I mean, I think there's many factors that, we need to build stars. We need leadership that believes in the sport, that believes we can be Formula One instead of, and all no disrespect to the Bud Light Tour, but instead of the Bud Light Tour, we need to believe that we are excellent. And I think that vision and that leadership who believes in a vision of us, being one of the top sports in the world, we need that. And we also need some runway, which means capital, capital that we don't need to be making money on day one. We have a couple years to grow into things. The UFC would have died, if the Fertitta brothers didn't stick in for 10 years, investing millions and millions of dollars. And now look at them. So I really believe we need the right vision, we need the right leadership, the right capital, and the players, I believe, need to have higher standards, because the players, I was guilty to a certain extent, but you get what you settle for. And if you keep compromising on your compromises, you're never going to live in excellence. And our sport is known for that. Our sport is known for getting in our own way. So I would love for the now generation to have high standards, to live in that discomfort of holding out for their standards, and to work together toward leadership to create something amazing, because it's time.
Yep. Devon
Yeah.
and I are on it. We're on it. We're gonna
Atta girl. So am I. We'll do it together. And I'm going to start a master's division. So
Perfect. We're there. Well, Kerri, before we close this out, we both just wanted to take a moment to say thank you for everything you've done for our sport, because your greatness and the lasting effects you had on beach volleyball is solely the reason that our sport's been able to continue to grow and inspire so many girls like us when we were younger and now to take the chance and to play beach volleyball. So thank you so much for everything you've done before and now.
Oh, you're very welcome, ladies. And I then need to thank all the pioneers before me and my team with me now. Yeah, it's so worthwhile, ladies. And I appreciate being here. And I think this exchange between, new and old is really important. And there's so much love and power when we all come together. So you guys are doing a great job. God bless and Godspeed as you go. And I'll see you on the beach somewhere.
Of course. Thank you so much, Kerri, for coming on our podcast. It means the world to us.
You're welcome, darling.